Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh to some of you and peace out to the rest of you. Black Heart, sign of Black in again. Asking you to hit that share button because like and subscribe, they benefit me, but sharing benefits us. And I want to thank those who did subscribe, including my 6 subscribers last night. Because when you subscribe, you do so out of the goodness of your heart and out of your belief and your faith in what I'm telling you and in the message. You're not doing it because I've requested. I understand that subscriptions are kind of like love. It only comes when you don't ask and you don't seek it. Anyway, let's make this long story short here. At the end of the day, I'll go ahead and tell you one of the stories from my job, what it has to do with this. What I want to say about my work is that there's a friend of mine who's also from the same region of the country, and he's teaching here. He goes from site to site every so often, but I get to work with him a good bit, and I get to see some of the Facebook groups. And in these Facebook groups, they're private, but 2 of them are dedicated to black men that travel. And while they may travel for different reasons, women do factor in because you can travel for many reasons and figure everything else out about how to travel and make it work for you and the best way to go about it. The one thing you have to think about and put effort into is women. Depending on where you go, that determines the amount of effort you got to put into it, but you have to plan ahead to a certain extent. Then there are some places you go to and you find that you don't really have to think that much about it. In one of the videos in one of these groups, and I won't say the group's names because they are private, but in one of these groups there was a video of several African-American brothers walking down a street, one of those working woman streets in either Bangkok or Pattaya, I guess. And women, this is during daylight with cameras on, and women were walking out of these bars towards these brothers. Now, these brothers were in a group. They had big old muscles and the cameras were on. These women had every reason to sit back and wait to be approached. And it was the daytime too. No, these women were coming out, and I'm not interested in working women, but the appearances, if I'd simply look at the appearances, they looked all kinds of ways, but they were generally on point as far as their appearances go. I saw the beginning of Oshay Duke Jackson's video, then I got interrupted and I never got to go back to the rest of it. But in the beginning of it, he did bring up a valid point. You can say white women only want rich black men, but beautiful white women only want rich black men, but that is true for beautiful black women. When they look how you want them to look, they only want brothers with money and a few others that may not have to have money, but they're just her type anyway. That's what he pointed out. And I thought about it and I said, well, you know, it actually does make a valid point. He's right about that. These women do want, they got a particular type they want, and if you ain't it, you got to have money to mess with them. You might even be their type, and you still got to have money to mess with them. When women look good, they demand extra money. But here's the thing, though. Since it's not going to be free in any case, then let me go ahead and break this down for sisters so they understand that even though they may raise valid points, they still miss other valid points that are going to have an effect in this case on the outcome. These brothers travel to Thailand. Excuse me. They get approached in Thailand. These women come up, they may want the money, but they're grabbing these brothers' arms. You can say, well, these guys don't commit to women that do stuff like that. Well, it's true that men don't commit to women that walk up and grab your butt or grab your ding-a-ling. But we don't just refuse to commit to a woman because she was interested and we could tell. That's not the way that works. The thing is, you ain't getting commitment from brothers where you are, and you sitting back and trying to act like you ain't interested until, of course, he has all the entire package, and that's even less than 13 to 14% of the men. Then you start showing interest in that case, and they still don't commit. And you don't even ask for a commitment in those cases. Long as you want a rotation, you getting your ding-a-ling and you getting broke off some bread. Just enough to satisfy your peer group that you're getting a good deal. You won't even ask for a commitment. Future, anyone? So let me tell you what you cannot compete with so you understand how you can compete. Because you cannot compete as you are, but you can change so that you can compete, and you will beat them out. Here's how you can do it. First off, you cannot compete right now because you are still offering less juice for more squeeze. Even if these are working women and you ain't one, you're still expensive. You don't show interest once you look good. When you look the way that a man wants you to look, all of it, you will not show interest. You sit back and you wait for them to come to you. Because you have to have your ego puffed up and inflated. Now, that's the first thing. When these men go over there, these women, even though they're working women, they will sit back they'll sit back in the porches of these businesses, these restaurants, and these clubs. They remain on the sidewalks, waiting to be approached when it's other men walking. As soon as black men in a group with muscles and cameras on start walking, they get approached. This tells me right then and there, when brothers go abroad, they get approached. They are what these women want. So this means that the only reason I couldn't go over there and get that is because they don't know I'm black. Okay, that's fine. They don't know, they just don't know. But for other guys, they go there and they're going to get approached, even if it's just to play. That beats you never approaching a man even when you want him because you look good. Unless, of course, he's your type and he's got all this money and you know he got a bunch of other women, and then you throw all your standards out the window, your other standards out the window, and you approach him knowing he got other women. We see this and we're like, okay, she approaches what she wants. This other one only approaches what her friends will approve of her approaching. Who's making their own decision and thinking for themselves? That's what you can't compete with right now. Sisters, I mean, y'all can look good. You eat right and exercise. You can look great, gorgeous, and you can beat out other women. You take care of yourself and your butt gets right, you can turn a marathon man into a minute man. That's real. But you know what, though? You mess around here and you say, I'm going to eat what the F I want. When you don't go after even the men you want, you don't even go after them unless your friends approve. But then you will go after the men you want regardless of your friends' approval only when you've gotten old, hit the wall, and had other men's kids. And probably health issues and debt to go with it. You wait until you're a bad deal for men to decide you're going to go after what you actually want. Maybe you want it and maybe you don't even then. But you can go over here. I can go over there and be approached. Now you're thinking, okay, you're talking about Thailand. No, see, I'm a Muslim. I don't go to Thailand, and I'm married too. But my wife and I are going to take a vacation in a little more conservative country that's still in the same region. And guess what? They do like brothers. I know. Because a friend of mine, when I told him that I was there last year, and I was by myself because I wasn't married yet, but I was still Muslim and I wasn't trying to fool around. He decided, let me go ahead and, you know what, I got some photographs of you. I'm going to put up a profile of you. Watch. I'm going to make you the username and password. He put it up. He gave me the username and password later. When I logged in, he put up a photograph of me. He had described me for the most part, and I had 28 inquiries. Here's the funny thing, though. He didn't put my height in there. I didn't speak in this. Only my name would have given me away as not actually belonging to that nation because I could probably pass as having one parent from that country. And in the photograph, because I was smiling, my eyes did not they were not a dead giveaway, actually. So I was being sought out, so to speak. I said, wow. So I'm a bigger hit here than I thought I was. Just that in this particular country, they don't just walk up to you and approach you like that. I'm going back with my wife. Some of you would say, well, if you all that over there, why would you take sand to the beach? Well, I'm a Muslim. I don't believe in adultery. And I believe it's a capital crime. If you can prove someone did it, you're supposed to stone them to death. It's hard to prove. It's damn near impossible. I don't know the name of anybody that's ever been proven to have done it in a Sharia jurisdiction, but the point I'm making is I don't believe in it. However, let me tell you what's going to happen, sister, so that you understand. This time I'm going with my wife. The people are friendly. We're going to be able to, we actually know someone that's there this time. We're going to be able to make friends. When these women start asking my wife, can you find me a husband from your people? Best believe when my wife comes to me and says so-and-so's looking for a husband, I'm going to start sending, I'm just going to tell brothers I know, hey, look, okay, you and her the same faith, she's looking for a husband. I'm going to do that. Why am I going to do something like that? Is it because I hate you? No, it's not because I hate you. It's because I know that you really ain't that into brothers. That's why I'm going to do it. We ain't what you want, except in a very narrow set of circumstances, and we don't give a rat's behind what the reason is that it has to be such a narrow set of circumstances that few men of any background could match that and be that. I don't care what your reasons are. I don't care if you say that that's how God made you. You don't care how God made men. These women over here actually care about how God made men. The testicles are functioning. They need to be emptied out every so often. I believe in doing all of this in the context of a marriage. It's limited to that, but the point is that's still important, and men are not considered wrong because they have needs and libidos. You ridicule a man's needs and his libido. Unless, of course, he's, well, 6'6", six-pack abs, six-figure income. And you really show them off to your friends. Okay, yeah, in that case, you make an exception. But for the normal man who would be lucky to meet two of them, no matter what his discipline is like, you ridicule them for having a libido. You don't care nothing about those needs. But then if you find someone that you actually do like in your 30s, and he is a normal man, you develop an appreciation for the normal man, but it's late for you anyway. If you do find him and he's not able to perform much because his body did not get used to performing when he was younger, you get upset. Wait a minute, what you mean you can't do no more than that? How come you're not even that interested in it? This should be so important to you. Well, if it should be so important to me, then where the hell were you when I was younger? That's what any man has a right to ask you, but you don't want to hear that. It wasn't the right time then. Yeah, but see, all of you thought the same way. They go over here. Apparently all these women think the same way. They're not walking up and approaching men in general in broad daylight on camera. Maybe at night, I don't see it. I don't know. But even at night, I don't see these men with cameras on getting approached. But these bros walk down the street in broad daylight with the cameras on and they get approached. And if these are working women that did it, it still beats never ever being approached by any one of you, unless of course you're just ugly or you done hit the wall and got babies and diseases and all kinds of debt to bring to the table. And that's the only way you would show interest in a brother that's not in that top 1%, forget 13 to 14. Now, where I'm going is not Thailand. It ain't like Thailand. But when I do go and my wife makes friends, I'm not only going to wait till she tells me so-and-so's looking for a husband. I'm going to tell her proactively, if you know someone is looking for a husband from one of us, you let me know. I'll get on it right away. I'm going to hook them up. Because I know some bros. They're good dudes. They're just not being chased after by women. Now, they're described as what women want when sisters say ain't no good men around. I wish men were more like X, Y, and Z. Then these are the guys that get described, but they're not being pursued. Some of them live here in this country where I live. Some of them are back stateside. The point is they ain't being pursued. And if good men like them are so doggone rare, why are they not being pursued? I don't give a rat's behind what the reason is. There is no good reason you could give me to justify that they're not being pursued if you're sitting up and saying that this is what's in demand. This is what you can't find enough of. That's all it is. So, You're going to have to compete, and you can compete. You have physically what it takes to compete. It's the software that's jacked up. That's all it is. You got the thighs, the butt, and the breast to compete physically. Your wide nose and your thick lips are not a turn off for black men. Your nappy hair is not a turn off for black men, at least not adults. Now, young dudes still coming up under largely single mothers may not want that, but adult black men, we understand. No, that's how sisters supposed to look. These things are not a turn off for adult black men. That's not the case. It is the software. It is what you've been told. It is how you've been socialized. It is your rough edges. It is your difficulty. It is your aggression and your assertiveness in every factor of life except going for the penis you want. And then all of a sudden you're conservative. It is a fact that despite this, that most men will have to see this side of you, you will still manage to rack up a higher body count than most men. This combination is not only terrible, it is unrealistic. How do you do that? How could you be so difficult and still rack up these higher body counts than most men would ever get? It is the fact that you at some point are very likely to experiment with women and don't feel guilty about it. It is that. It is all of these things. You can go over here and then catch another flight and be in Southeast Asia, find women that if they did do something like that, they'd admit it. Find women that ain't done nothing like that. What are their body counts like? That's if you're going to pay to play. But you can also, in these other regions, go somewhere and you can find women that ain't like that. You could marry them and you don't have to worry about them looking only at what you make. Now, granted, this thing may be important, but it's not nearly as bad as what it is like over there where you are and the deal that you offer. But understand this, if you can change that software and simply be more consistent, whatever you say you are, be that. And let the next woman be what she's going to be as long as she says what she is. If you could do that much, either you're conservative, but you don't go after stuff in life, including men, or you're assertive, you go after everything in life you want, but then you also go after the men you want. You don't lie about the stuff, and you don't sit up here and tell him that he's got to be a billionaire to get the draws, but the next dude over here ain't even got to be a responsible man to get the draws. You could cut that mess out and be... You get the idea. If you could do that, you're already there in the U.S. and most black men are still in the U.S. So you already being there while most black adult men are still there in the U.S., then these other women would not be able to compete with you because you are the same as us. You got the body for it already. You would have the software and you would be right there. Why would brothers travel for someone else? For business? Sure. For tourism? Sure. But why would they travel and stay somewhere else? You get it? I hope that what I've said has been a benefit. I don't think it's going to help you. I don't think many of you are going to listen. But I'm mentioning this to you so that when you don't listen, we can say, no. The message got to you. You just didn't heed it and you didn't react. Thank you for being patient. Blackheart, sign and black out.